Like I mentioned, my name is Allisa, and in addition to my role with Nanodropper, I'm currently also a medical student working towards my MD. I'm passionate about all things eye health, breaking down barriers to healthcare access, and also relevant to our conversation today, beauty and glam.
Yeah, hi everyone. I am your co-host today. My name is Mackenzie Andrews. I am also one of the co-founders of Nanodropper. I'm very excited to be here. My background is in bioengineering, and I am the Chief Commercial Officer of Nanodropper. And I'm going to be helping Alyssa ask some questions to our awesome panelists today. And then I'll hand it off to Dr. Jarstad, and then we can follow with Dr. Matocha for our introductions.
Hi, everyone. My name's Dr. Allison Jarstad. I am a cornea and refractive surgery specialist in Southern California, and I'm so excited to be here.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Megan Matocha. I'm an optometrist in the Clear Lake area of Houston, Texas. I'm a mom of 2 babies, and I'm also very passionate about women's eye health and dry eyes, specifically how cosmetics and skincare can play a role in everything having to do with our eyes. So I'm excited to be here too.
Great, and then we can go to Caitlyn and then Tiffany.
Hi, everyone. I'm Caitlyn Schollmeier. I am Mrs. United States 2020. I have 2 baby boys. They were just born in January, and I'm a nurse.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tiffany Rea, and I am Miss United States 2020, and currently, aside from pageantry, in school for full-time to get my bachelor's in criminal justice and crime scene investigation with a minor in psychology.
Amazing. Well, thank you again for joining us this morning. Tiffany and Caitlyn, if we can start with you, I just want to say a big congrats on your recent victories as Miss United States and Mrs. United States. It's really such an honor to have you joining us today. I can only imagine that it takes years and years of dedication and how much of a whirlwind it must be from that moment. I was wondering if you could share with us what's been happening in your lives since being crowned with your titles.
So as Mrs. United States, my title, I got that while I was pregnant, still with my twins. They were just born in January. So that was a lot and really exciting for all of us, for my whole family. And so, yeah, the first kind of few months of, my title holding days and everything have been kind of all over the place. But it's been a journey, and I've loved every second of it.
It has definitely been crazy since we were crowned. All 8 of us, actually, we have been so busy working on our platforms. Mine personally is promoting volunteerism through mentorship. So being a national title holder during a global pandemic isn't the usual. So it's made it very, very difficult to find different things to do. So we've all had to be really, really creative, but all of us have been so busy, and I've just been enjoying every moment.
Wow. Yeah, I can't even imagine, especially with all the recent challenges. Oh my gosh. And Caitlyn, you having your twin boys at the same time. I think it really is just a testament to your resilience and your creativity and ability to bring the best in the greatest time of need. And Tiffany, I see that you wear glasses, and when we first met, you were telling me a little bit about your experience with dry eye and wearing glasses and contacts. Could you share with the audience what you shared with me?
Yeah, so I've been wearing glasses since about the 6th grade. So it started, I was just having trouble seeing, the board in class. So my teachers, they just moved me up and it wasn't that great still. So I went to the doctor and I got reading glasses originally. And throughout the years, it's just gotten progressively different. And with pageantry, it can be really difficult because glasses aren't usually what you wear when you're in pageants, when you're on stage. And it's kind of like an unspoken rule, I guess, that it's just something you don't do because it normally distracts from the face, apparently, for in the minds of some people. So wearing glasses in pageantry has been kind of a struggle for me to kind of accept it and make it more normal. But yeah, it's just been really crazy, and it's been interesting to learn more about my eye health throughout the years.
That's incredible. So just to clarify, you are wearing your glasses on stage during your contest?
I have actually never worn my glasses on stage during that's just one thing. I don't know why. It's like I said, it's kind of like that unspoken rule, like, oh, I don't want it to take away from my face because I am in a pageant. And it's just something that I've never done. And I actually don't wear contacts. It's just something that it was kind of my little, the way I would justify it and kind of make it my little secret is that it made me less nervous because I couldn't see the audience and the judges' faces. So, but the downside to that is like when you don't wear your glasses and you can't see, you feel like very disoriented. And sometimes that would actually in turn make me a little bit more insecure because I didn't know, my surroundings, and it was a little bit more difficult, but I obviously got through it. But yeah, it's been very different, but very interesting to learn.
I think that touches on such an important topic of glasses and beauty. And, when I was little and started wearing glasses, it wasn't something that really fit my aesthetic and I think there's still a lot of stigma associated with that. So I think, yeah, you speaking to having to take your glasses off and navigating the stage with a slightly blurry vision instead of being able to wear your glasses confidently, I think speaks to that. So going to Dr. Matocha and Dr. Jarstad, one thing that we hear time and time again from our eye care professionals is that they try and help their patients with the importance of wearing their glasses and contacts as prescribed. Can you share some of your insights on how patients should approach eyewear and contacts?
Yeah, I think it can be scary at first when you first realize you may need glasses or contacts. But my experience is patients that really need prescription, they see so much better and they're so much more comfortable that they fall into wearing their glasses very easily. If you have a mild prescription, well, then you can talk to your doctor about when do I need to wear my glasses versus when do I not need to have them on. But in my experience, they get used to their vision with glasses and then they want to see clearly. Just like Tiffany said, she feels a little uncomfortable now without wearing her glasses or, having her correction. And then the advances in contact lenses are so great now that we can pretty much get anybody in contact lenses. And I think that really lends itself well to refractive surgery, which Dr. Jarstad can definitely tell us a little bit more about how that can play a big role in actually having more permanent correction in your vision.
Yeah, I agree. I think that if you are not able to tolerate your contact lenses because of issues like dry eye, or if you find yourself wearing your contact lenses more than 10 to 12 hours a day, you should definitely look into refractive surgery like LASIK as an option because it's a very safe and effective way to eliminate the needs for glasses and contact lenses. I think that for contact lens wearers, it is important to limit your wear to about 10 to 12 hours a day, which is not easy for a lot of my very young, very active patients who put their contact lenses in around 6 o'clock in the morning and don't take them out until 10 o'clock at night or even later. And we have to remember that contact lens wearers have a higher risk of corneal infections. And so it's very important to remember to never sleep or swim in your contact lenses, to make sure you practice really good contact lens hygiene by cleaning your lenses with an appropriate disinfectant, and to change your contact lens case every 3 months, just like you would change the head of your Sonicare toothbrush or your Brita filter or your Nanodropper. You really want to make sure that you're practicing good contact lens hygiene.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, that 3-month rule is key. And just like you said, Tiffany, about some of the things that we kind of just fight through, especially in the pageant space, have you ever seen your fellow contestants have issues with their eyes and just kind of keep going for the sake of the pageant?
I personally haven't seen any other contestants kind of struggle through it, but kind of taking it from my perspective, it can be a little bit intimidating that first time, you go out with wearing your glasses. And it's funny because some contestants, you won't even know that they have glasses until you're in rehearsal or, something where it's not that big of a deal. But it also goes back to like ruining your makeup. So I remember one time I was backstage, I was running for Miss California's Outstanding Teen, and I saw this girl and she had it's like a bright eye dropping solution. And I'm like, what is she using that for? And it was to make your eyes brighter. So it was kind of cool to see that different aspect of it. But me personally, with my dry eye, I spend $1,000+ on my makeup to get done. So I didn't want to just like put it in and have it drop down my face. So that was sometimes, with beauty products and especially with eyelash, the lash strips, those can tend to bother me as well. So it's been a struggle sometimes, but it's just something that, you do have to work through, and it paid off, obviously, but yeah, it can definitely be a struggle.
Thanks for sharing that. Caitlyn, how about you?
I don't personally wear contacts or glasses myself, but speaking from my experience with pageants, it's very much like a go, go, go sort of situation, like throughout all of pageant week. Sometimes you won't, eat when you're supposed to, or like not as frequently as you're supposed to. You oftentimes kind of like hide yourself away in your room until you're presentable enough to come out and potentially be seen by the judges and whatnot. So I can imagine how people who, wear contacts or wear glasses might not wear the glasses at certain times that maybe they should be wearing them, or wear their contacts for extended periods of time, maybe forget to switch them out or forget to, clean them because they're so preoccupied with other things. So I definitely think that that's probably a big, obstacle for ladies in pageants and just in the beauty industry in general.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you all for sharing your stories. From where I'm standing through the lens of Nanodropper, it's really fascinating to hear about your behind the scenes. A big part of our mission is to make eye health education easier and access to understand all the things that you guys touched on the eye contact hygiene, when to take it off, when to go to your eye doctor with a concern. So important. And it's something that we like to highlight, that, it is possible to take really good care of your eyes as a woman and still feel confident about your appearance. So speaking of pageant prep, from a makeup and hair perspective, how much time actually goes into preparing for a pageant?
Well, specifically for makeup and hair, if I'm doing it myself, about 10 hours. Just kidding.
10?
It took me a little bit longer. Without pageants, I wouldn't even know how to put makeup on. I was totally a tomboy growing up. But when you hire a hair and makeup team, like Caitlyn was saying, it's go, go, go. So you could be in there, an hour and a half to 2 hours. But as far as outside prep, it's really just as much as the contestant puts in, and it depends on your pageant, and it depends on, what message you want to send. So with me, I've been in pageants for 14 years, and I've learned something different with every competition that I've been in.
And Caitlyn?
She said it well, that you really put in, and you get out what you put in. So a lot of people don't spend a whole lot of time prepping for a pageant, or they'll, spend most of their time learning one specific area, but it's all about, makeup, hair, but also, your platform and reaching out and working with the community, and you're, making an impact on the people around you as well. And so you can spend a lot of time doing that or a little bit of time. I think in order to be successful in pageants, you spend many, many hours, weeks of preparation leading up to a pageant.
That makes sense. And Tiffany, you said a team, you can hire a team for your hair and makeup. Is that like multiple people?
It can be, yes. We are so lucky to have such a great pageant sponsor with the United States Pageants, and they do have a team just so they can get to every girl. But you might have a makeup artist who's good at both, or, hair and makeup, or you might have one that's better in others, and they'll kind of switch off. So it just depends, but totally worth the investment when you're in pageant week and you're a little bit stressed. It just is that nice one little thing that you can do to make yourself kind of sit down and relax, because as we keep saying, it's go, go, go.
Yeah, that sounds like it. So for myself, I mean, I am not, I've never been in the pageant world, but just from getting my hair and makeup ready for like student level competitions and even pitches for potential investors, I've learned that some makeup just doesn't work for me. And when I say that, I mean like my eyes get really red or really irritated. And I was actually wondering if our eye care professionals can jump in on this topic and answer the question of like, are there any product lines or brands or even ingredients that are less irritating for your eyes, or something that you might recommend to your patients as eye safe, or even any tips when it comes to that?
I think it's very important to find the right products for your eyes. A lot of times we think, oh my gosh, my eyes are just burning or stinging, but it has a lot to do with the products that we use. I've recently found out about the We Love Eyes eye cleaning system and the Eyes Are the Story cosmetic line that has a great mascara and a great eyeliner that I think has really nice ingredients, stays on really well, and does not cause irritation to the eyes or contribute to dry eye syndrome or meibomian gland dysfunction. And so that's where I really start with my patients, is making sure that they're using really good, healthy, clean products for their eyes, but also cleaning their eyes really well at night. I think a lot of patients don't realize how much gunk is still on their eyes after they remove it. So I recommend the We Love Eyes cleaning system, which has a really great makeup remover oil with tea tree oil in it, which is fantastic for eyes. It's antibacterial and really does help with inflammation. And the foaming cleanser that just really breaks down the makeup and gets everything nice and clean and reduces bioload on the eyes and just keeps your eyes feeling good.
That's awesome. You actually mentioned Eyes Are the Story, and I'm looking at our attendee list, and I actually see that Amy Sullivan, the founder of Eyes Are the Story, is attending. Amy, would you like to talk a little bit about Eyes Are the Story? I'd be happy to invite you up as a panelist to just give us a little background on how you got started. Yeah, she says sure.
Oh,
Okay.
awesome.
Awesome. I will invite Amy up and she can tell us a little bit more about the background of Eyes Are the Story and maybe some of the eye safe ingredients. Oh, you're on mute.
Hi.
Unmute.
There we go. Perfect.
Here we are. Hello.
Hi.
Hi, everyone. It's nice to meet you. Thanks for the shout out. Eyes of the Story. Yeah.
Awesome.
No, it's really important what you were saying, especially during pageant time, because obviously you have a really rigorous opportunity to be in front of people, but all those hours in front of the camera, the lights, and all the layers of makeup can be very aggressive on the eyes. and especially those with sensitive eyes or who have to wear contact lenses. But what I like to say, and why we created the brand Eyes Are the Story, is everyone has sensitive eyes, and everyone really needs to take care of what they put on their face, on their eyes, around their eyes. So we created this line for sensitive eyes, for contact lens users, and those who suffer from dry eye disease. So again, that's probably most of us. So what we did is we took out, we analyzed, say, mainstream makeup products, and we created a line. We did formulations that are cleaner and safer than a lot of the products on the market, because we really looked at the chemicals that were, say, causing or exacerbating dry eye disease, particularly also meibomian gland dysfunction. So it's particularly niche, but at the same time it's not, because it's a lifestyle mission to make sure that the homeostasis of our eyes is balanced, and we want to protect our vision.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Amy. It would be wonderful if you could stick around in case anybody has any questions about the brand. But yeah, thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank
That's
you.
so important.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Awesome. It's nice seeing you. Yeah, and going back to what Dr. Matocha said about the cleaning regimen, I think, I'm guilty of this too. I found products that work really well for my eyes now and don't irritate it too much, at least, especially like the eyeliner for lining like really, really close to the lash line, or even on the waterline. But yeah, the cleaning component, I sometimes don't get all of the product off of my eyelid. And I know that recently there's been all of this hype about coconut oil and using that to clean around your eyes. Do you have any opinions on that, on the safety?
Dr. Jarstad, did you want to take that, or did you want me to answer it?
Sure, I can take this one, and feel free to chime in, Dr. Matocha, if you have anything else to say. So I just wanted to kind of reiterate what Megan said about finding products that are helpful for you and that your eyes tolerate, because everybody's body is different. Everybody's ocular surface is going to react differently to various products. So but the biggest important piece of advice I can give you is to, again, make sure that you're removing your eye makeup every night. And, I like to keep things very simple for my patients. A lot of, compliance is always a big issue. So I try to make it as easy as possible for the whole gamut of patients, from, the 16-year-old to the 96-year-old. And so I recommend just using some baby shampoo to just put a dime size amount in your fingertips, lather it up, and really wash right at the eyelid margin at the base of the eyelashes, and then rinse it off. And we have these oil glands called meibomian glands that are located right at the base of the eyelashes that secrete the oil component of our tear film. And so by cleaning this area after you've removed your makeup, with the baby shampoo, can remove any dry flaking skin that's prone to clog those oil glands and inhibit how much of the oil component of your tear film is getting released. I also recommend doing warm compresses once or twice a day with a heatable mask to open those oil glands and help lubricate the eyes in a very, very natural way. Specifically with coconut oil, I'm not, you guys know more and are up to speed on some of these kind of latest trends than I am. But to reiterate what Dr. Matocha said is that, they've actually done studies of tea tree oil, and that's been found 50% tea tree oil, which is inexpensive, available over the counter, and it's very effective at killing, little organisms that actually live in our eyelashes and on the skin around the eyes, and have been proven to be just as effective as oral antibiotic medication, as well as some topical prescription medication. So I, especially for my patients who don't like to be on prescription medication all the time, it's a really great option and is safe to apply onto the eyes. I didn't know, Megan, if you had anything to add.
No, you hit it exactly like I would say. Love the tea tree oil. I steer away from the coconut oil just because I feel like it's really thick, it's really occlusive. It gets into the eye, really creates a film, kind of disrupts the tear layer film. So I would steer more towards something that's formulated for the eyes. And again, I recommend We Love Eyes. Their makeup remover oil is the best one I've ever used, and it does not sting or irritate my eyes at all. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Wow. Yeah, thank you. I had no idea about the tea tree oil. I'll have to incorporate that into my nightly regimen too. Also, just a disclaimer, we are not sponsored in any way by the brand. So this is really our true opinions. And I'll have to try their cleaning regimen too. And speaking of the latest trends, and I think Tiffany, you mentioned using the glue-on eyelash strips, but there are so many new options, and I sometimes don't know which is kind of like the best method for making our eyelashes really shine. So there's the permanent eyelash extensions, the magnetic lash strips with, I think there must be like iron filings or something in the eyeliner that goes along with that, and then the glue-on lash strips. I personally have tried all three of these before, and the eyelash extensions were a bit of a time commitment, and also my eyes were so red after that. I think it must be the glue that they use to permanently adhere those individual eyelashes, but yeah, I'll just open it up to the floor.
Yeah. So I think with pageantry, you kind of see it all. And I personally have never tried the magnetic lashes because for some reason that's just frightening to me. I like that one, I don't know. But eyelash extensions, I've always stayed away from because, as I mentioned earlier, my eyes are really, really sensitive to any types of glues or anything. And I actually had an allergic reaction the other day to some lash glue, some brand new one. And I was like, oh, this is super popular. Let me try it. And I had an event that day and a wedding that I was going to. So I was wearing them all day.
Oh no.
And I took my makeup off that night. It was like just a strip of red. I was like, oh no. So I have to be really, really careful. So I just usually stick to the strip lashes because they're the easiest. And that's usually what makeup artists and pageants will use anyway. Unless you do show up with like the lash extensions, and that way it's just easy. And I'm glad that you guys were talking about, removing all the makeup, because I myself, I'm very prone to styes. So I've noticed with pageants that after competing, I have to take my makeup off because if I sleep in it, I will wake up and have problems. So I always try to really make sure that I clean my eyes really, really well. But I have also seen it too, where it was pageant weekend and girls would get their makeup done when they get there and sleep in it the whole weekend and just touch it up for stage. And I was like, oh my gosh, I could not do that. So I would get up like extra early just to fix it and like redo it because I'm like, there's no way I could sleep in it for that long. But yes, definitely, like I said, with pageants, you've seen it all. But personally, I tend to just stick with the lash strips.
I've also tried all of those different options, the magnetic lashes that kind of like clip together, the kind that you paint on the eyeliner and you put those on. I had a bad experience with eyelash extensions myself, where I had gotten a full set of eyelash extensions. They were beautiful and wonderful, and I really liked them. And then when it was time for me to get new ones on, they use the same glue, they use the same technique. It was the same technician who was doing it. And I had a terrible reaction to the same, glue that they had used before. It's almost like I developed an allergy or something to it. And so I'll never do eyelash extensions again. And I just do the strips as well. But I will say, kind of jumping back to how, we keep makeup on and it can irritate your eyes. For me, when I wear a lot of makeup for like a long extended period of time, if I don't take it off really well, like if I don't wash my face like really diligently, the next day, like my eyes will hurt. And sometimes I'll wake up and I'm like, oh man, why do I have this like headache? Why do my eyes hurt? And it was just from wearing makeup the day before and not taking it off well enough.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. I go through the same thing. I am the first to admit that I'm not always the best at washing my makeup off every night, but I do notice that if I don't, then I tend to wake up and my eyes are irritated, dry, and itchy. Imagine like mascara flakes or like getting into your eye and irritating your eyes. Um, I would be really interested to hear the professional's perspective on these types of like lash enhancements. So we talked about the magnetic ones, the permanent extensions, and we actually also got a question in the chat about lash growth serums. So there's like those new products that claim that they can help grow thicker, longer, fuller lashes. So if you have any perspectives on any of those products, that would be really interesting.
Yeah, that's a lot. There's a lot in this question, right? Lash extensions, I don't love for a lot of reasons. I think one of the biggest reasons is that you cannot very easily get to the base of the lashes to get them clean. Also, women are hesitant to really get them wet, to get them clean, because they don't want the lashes to fall off. But if you don't get down to the base of the eyelashes and really remove that debris, you're going to get buildup over time. It's going to lead to infections and inflammation, a lot of irritation. So if you're going to have lash extensions, you really do need to be cleaning them well with a nice foam or even just the baby shampoo, and then really comb through with a spoolie to make sure you're getting the base of the lashes very clean. Eyelashes, the glue-on kind of eyelashes, one of the biggest things that you can do is use a glue that's formaldehyde and latex free. So Duo brush on lash adhesive is one of the best ones I've found that is actually formaldehyde and latex free, because those are the two most common allergens. Like Tiffany said, that you can have kind of a contact allergic dermatitis, and those are the two main offenders, I would say. Another thing to think about back to the lash extensions is that our eyelashes are meant to be a certain length. And with that like thick and long of an eyelash, you're actually going to get like a wind tunnel effect, and you're going to get more wind and stuff in your eyes. Actually, it's going to be doing the opposite of what they should be doing, which is protecting your eyes. And it's going to lead to more evaporation of your tear film and dryness overall. So there's just a lot to think about with those kinds of things. I don't recommend them. I think probably if I was going to recommend one, the lash the lashes that you glue on, or the magnetic lashes for special occasions, if you're in a pageant, if you're in a wedding, maybe those kinds of things, just kind of keep it for a special occasion. And then I don't know if Dr. Jarstad wants to touch on that, and then maybe we could go back to the lash serums, because that was a lot. I'm sure Dr. Jarstad has an opinion on that as well.
Thanks, Megan. So, yeah, I get a lot of questions from my patients about the glue-on lashes, and certainly I have seen some infections of the front of the eye in this setting, and people who do have the fake or the artificial lashes. But I think that these infections are actually quite rare. You should always remember to wash your hands really thoroughly before you're going to be applying eye makeup or applying these lashes. And just remember that if you experience any pain or discomfort after applying them, to seek out help from an eye care professional right away. Because if you scratch your cornea, that's going to cause a lot of pain. And if it goes untreated, it can result in a vision-threatening eye infection. So that's just really important to keep in mind. Also, if you have any eye redness, pain, decrease in vision, or mucus discharge, seek help from an eye care professional right away. That being said, I agree. The most common complication from glue-on lashes that I see is actually an allergic reaction to the glue. And there are some, treatments that we can do in the office, and medications we can prescribe to help with that. And common symptoms of this would be some redness and irritation, but specifically itching. and a lot of tearing, and light sensitivity is more specific to an allergy. And, we can treat your symptoms, but ultimately you may find that you need to switch to a different type of glue manufacturer or try magnetic lashes. And I agree, just using them for special occasions and not everyday wear would be my recommendation as well.
Thank you both. That's all very helpful and gives me a good plan for, when I should really seek professional help and what is an eye emergency versus irritation of the skin. Going back to the question of the lash growing serums, do either of you have any opinions or recommendations on those?
Yeah, I'm actually doing some research and kind of looking into that right now. A lot of the lash serums on the market actually contain prostaglandin in it or prostaglandin analogs, which is a glaucoma medication essentially, and it can lead to a lot of redness and irritation and some changes in the eye. They also, a lot of them have preservatives that are that really can be toxic to the eye, to the meibomian glands cells themselves, and can lead to irritation over time. So I've actually seen a lot of patients lately with just kind of general irritation or extra dryness, and they mentioned that they started a great lash boosting serum or this or that, and finding that there's definitely some irritation to that. So one of the ones that I think is really great on the market is actually by OcuSoft, and it's called Lash Boost. I would recommend that. It's very gentle, it's very safe, and it doesn't have a prostaglandin in it, which is one of the main ingredients that can really be irritating to the eye. So I would recommend that as well.
I just want to add real quick is that what Dr. Matocha mentioned about prostaglandins is that you also want to be careful with the prostaglandins if you have light colored eyes or hazel eyes, because if it does get into the eye, it can lead to increased pigmentation of the eye color and permanently change your eye color. It's not such a big deal in people with brown or darker pigmented irises. But me, I have green eyes, and I would be very disappointed if my eyes turned into a more brown color. No offense to brown-eyed girls out there, but just something to be aware of, because a lot of people aren't aware of that side effect with prostaglandins on the ocular surface.
Yes, and that they can darken the skin on your lash line, which I think is really disappointing to a lot of people that don't want their skin to be, changing color, especially if you have fair skin. So I agree. I don't recommend it.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of patients coming to you with specific eye concerns, Dr. Matocha and Dr. Jarstad, I'd love to hear about any other common issues that you hear from women in your office about whether it's dry eye or other common eye concerns, and what your recommendations are for those.
So I, as a cornea specialist, I treat a lot of dry eye patients, the entire gamut, to very severe blindness from chronic, dead nerves on the corneal surface. And so people who aren't making any tear film whatsoever, to just the common, my eyes are irritated at the end of the day. It's really uncomfortable. What can I do? So I see the whole range of patients. And one thing to remember is that women get dry eye 8 times more likely than our male counterparts do. And they've done studies that show that dry eye is actually as impactful on your day-to-day life that angina chest pain is. So it really is a very big deal. And sometimes for eye care professionals, ophthalmologists, it can be very difficult for them to treat dry eye because they don't understand that what works to treat my dry eye is going to be very different than what works to treat yours or the person in the room next door to us. And so it's a very individualized approach. So one thing to keep in mind is that, if you're changing up your eye makeup or doing some of the common treatments, which I'll go over in just a minute, and it's not working for you, there's a lot of other tools in our toolkit to address it. And I always tell my patients, I can't promise I can make you better, but I promise I'm going to keep trying until you have happy, comfortable eyes. And so some of the quick things to run through that you guys can start doing at home if you do have discomfort is, using over-the-counter artificial tears. If you find that you need to use lubricating tears like Refresh or Sustain or TheraTears more than about 4 or 5 times a day, the preservatives in the bottles of tears that actually keep its shelf life, if you're using the drop more than 5 times a day, the preservatives can actually be more irritating to the ocular surface. So they do make preservative-free artificial tears that won't cause as much irritation. Also, if you find that you have this need for constant to put tears on constantly throughout the day, at the eye doctor's office, we can actually so the tears drain into small little openings in each upper and lower eyelid into your nose, which is why when we cry emotionally, our noses run so much. And so one thing we can do is actually put a little silicone or collagen plug into the opening in the lower eyelid, and that will keep the tears that you are making on the surface much longer and decrease the need for constantly having to put teardrops on throughout the day. So especially for people who, for my contact lens wearers or my patients with dry eye right before their wedding or right before a big event where they don't have time or just don't want to be putting the tears on, which might smear their makeup, or before some of my patients who are actors, before a photo shoot or before a production, we'll put these little plugs in to help keep their ocular surface moist. I know I talked about warm compresses, which actually give you some immediate relief. The heat helps open up those oil glands that are located in our eyelids that release the oil component of your tear film in a very natural way. So doing this routinely, once or twice, morning and evening, for about 5 minutes, but also in the middle of the day, if you're having an exacerbation of your symptoms, that can be really helpful. Omega-3 is an oral supplement that can help support the oil component in your tear film. There's omega-3s and omega-6. The studies show that omega-3s were more beneficial to your tear film, and I recommend 1,000 milligrams twice a day. And then really important to remember that if you ever have a pink eye or a viral conjunctivitis or anything like that, it's really important to throw your makeup products away, because you could eventually reinfect yourself. So that's one of the most common issues that I see in my office is dry eye. And those are what I use for about 90% of my patients. If you try those tips and you're still having symptoms, then I would reach out to an ophthalmologist or a cornea specialist like myself to get some more individualized care.
Those are really great insights. Thank you so much for that, Dr. Jarstad. I do see a couple comments in the chat asking about screen time and if either of you have seen any changes with your patients over the past years or spending more time in front of our screen, and if there's anything that we can do to, take care of our eye health. During this time, some comments talked about maybe vitamins or drinking carrot juice or anything that you recommend that can help.
Yeah, everything that Dr. Jarstad said, I completely agree with. Dry eye it's multifactorial. There's a lot of different causes, and for every person, it's different treatments. So starting with the basics in terms of warm compresses and eyelid hygiene, that's the basics. Adding, I agree, preservative-free artificial tears 4 times a day can be extremely helpful. If those things are not working, you do definitely need to see somebody that's going to work with you and try and really work out a customized plan. Some things that we don't think about that are really basic and easy things that we can do is environmentally with the screen time, blinking. We're not blinking enough, okay? And so when our top eyelid touches our bottom eyelid, that's when those meibomian glands that Dr. Jarstad mentioned, that's when they release the oil. So one thing that we've gotten really bad about is when we're staring at screens, we're just kind of doing this partial blinking. We're not getting really good full blinks in, which over time is going to lead to clogged up and kind of stagnant oil in the tear film, and it's not going to be able to liberate. So the warm compresses is very helpful. Making sure you're doing really good full blinks while you're on the screen is very helpful. And taking breaks, actually taking a break and giving yourself good full blinks. I always do this in front of my patients. It looks so silly, but really, truly, it does help. So again, preservative-free artificial tears, warm compresses, eyelid hygiene, and working on your blinking, I think, are the basic steps. After that, you do need to go see your eye care professional, and maybe some prescription eye drops are needed, or some procedures in office like a LipiFlow or an IPL. Those are some different options for more intense dry eyes if those basic things are not working for you. Also, water, drink water. Lots of water. And avoid fans. That's the other thing. Avoid fans, or like in the car, the air vents. That's going to really lead to a lot of dryness as well.
Yeah, can I add something real quick? So I agree. I tell all my patients, when you're in the car with the air conditioning blowing, or if you live on the East Coast with the heater blowing, you want to have it blow down by your feet, not against the dashboard, because that will cause some evaporative tear loss. I get questions all the time about screen time and blue light blockers and how effective that is. They've actually done studies that show when we do these visually focusing tasks, so watching TV, being on our phones, looking at screens, driving, which is essentially how we spend 99% of our waking hours, our blink rate decreases by more than 50%. And every time we blink, it's almost like a windshield wiper. We're spreading the tear film across the ocular surface. So a lot of my patients who say, oh, I'm getting eye strain or headaches, or I'm having these symptoms when I'm spending a lot of time on the computer, it's not necessarily the light from the screen. More times than not, by treating dry eye and having them do some of those treatments that we mentioned, they come back for follow-up, telling me that their symptoms are significantly better. Blue light blockers have not, the glasses that block the blue light have not been shown to cause any harm to your eyes. So by all means, you can try that. But more often than not, addressing the dry eye will relieve a lot of that eye strain symptom and the pain and headaches that you're having at the end of the day. And then along with taking breaks and making sure you're blinking, is I'll tell my patients, before you're going to sit down to spend a lot of time on the computer or to read a book, put in a drop of the artificial tears. And then every hour or two after, while you're doing that work or that activity, then put in another drop. I notice my dry eye gets so much worse on days that I'm operating because I'm looking through a microscope and so focused that I know I'm not blinking enough. So this can be really helpful.
Wow, thank you so much. I mean, so many recommendations and tips that I'll definitely add to my daily routine, especially like the full blink, something that seems like we should all be doing, but I'll definitely be more mindful of taking full blinks when I'm looking at a screen. So I know we've talked a lot about our personal eye health as women, but something that I also wanted to touch on is for parents out there. And Caitlyn, I wanted to direct our attention to you. First of all, congratulations on the birth of your twin baby boys. That must be such an exciting time in your life. And also, I wanted to highlight and thank you for your service as an Air Force veteran. Our company also is a contractor with the U.S. Air Force, and being able to serve our airmen and women is definitely something that we're so proud of. But when we chatted earlier, we were talking about some unique challenges that twins specifically present to families, but I also understand that they've had some trouble with their eye health. Would you mind sharing some of your experiences with the audience?
Sure. Yeah, so my twins were both born with congenital cataracts. So they had to undergo a cataract surgery to have the cataract removed when they were only 2 weeks old so that they could learn how to use their eyes. And that came along with lots of eye drops. We had to give them, I think, maybe 9 doses of eye drops every day for the first weeks after their surgery. And then now they have a special type of contact lens that they have to wear. And it's challenging to put in eye drops and contacts to newborn babies, little tiny babies that wiggle around. And I imagine it'll probably get even more difficult as they get older and get stronger. So yeah, that's kind of been one of the struggles we've had with our children. I know that it's a struggle that a lot of families have that have children with eye health issues.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh, that must have been so difficult to navigate as new parents, and we don't expect these things, and no one really talks about them as like part of being a new parent. I'm sure your boys will thank you later, but also this session is recorded, so we can send them the video when they're older. Um, Speaking of all the wiggling, we hear all the time that parents have trouble getting eye drops into their kids' eyes from all the squirming and wiggling and the blinking. Um, I wanted to ask our eye care professionals if you have any tips or tricks for our moms and dads out in the audience, and also Caitlyn, if you've had any personal success with specific methods or tips and tricks.
I see a lot of kids in my office, and so of course we have to dilate them. I think a couple of things. Number one, you don't need that much of the drop to get in your eye to do what it's supposed to do, which I guess you guys all know that's part of the Nanodropper, right? I mean, the idea is that our cul-de-sac can only hold so much of the liquid. So first of all, you don't need that much of the drop to get in. So one thing that you can do with kids is just kind of have them lay back, kind of put their arms down. You can put the drop on the inner part of their eye, just have them close their eye, put it on the inner part, and then tell them to blink as much as possible. It will blink into the eye. And generally, that's all you need is just a little bit to get into the eye. Also, don't let them, dab or clear it away too quickly. And if they're crying, well, then that, kind of washes it away as well. But you just really don't need much of the drop to get in. You just need a little bit.
That's a great piece of advice. Another thing that I tell my moms who have to administer drops, twice a day or a few times during the day is if you can, depending on the age, it's going to be very different and very difficult. And every kid's going to be different and difficult. We know this. Or some difficult, some easier than others. Sorry, I don't want to be too negative here. But one thing you can do is while they're sleeping, just while the kid's sleeping, after you put them down, depending on how light or heavy sleeper your child is, to just sneak in and pull the lower eyelid down, put a little drop in. It's an easy way. Oftentimes they don't even realize what's happening. And then especially for infants, babies who are nursing or feeding is a really good time to do it. So have your partner, while you're nursing, especially in these infants, have your partner just kind of open the eyes and try to get a drop in that way. Those are two times when it can be easier to get them in.
Wow, thank you. Yeah, Caitlyn, what has worked for you and your family?
A lot of those things have actually been what I've been told and what I've used. Putting the eye drop right here and opening the baby's eye, something that we did when we were giving them their eye drops. Putting their contacts in is impossible, and without the baby like sucking on something, whether it be a pacifier or swaddled up, they have to pretty much be very sleepy for it to work properly. But I think that once you kind of practice a little bit, it usually kind of get used to it, and hopefully, we'll just keep learning as they get older, different techniques to use.
Yeah, thank you so much for that insight. And we would love to stay in touch. And as they get older and the challenges change, for you to continue letting us know what works so that we can let other parents that might be going through the same thing try some different tips and tricks. So yeah, thank you so much. We do have a question in the chat, actually directed towards Tiffany. The question is, what was the reason you didn't wear contacts during your pageants, and do you wear them now? Why or why not?
Contacts were always really intimidating to me. You hear the horror stories and stuff, and for me, touching my eye, like that just was always something that kind of deterred me. But before Miss United States last year, I was like, I'll just get it because, I really wanted to be more comfortable on stage. And I went into the eye doctor and it wasn't the best experience. So it was just something that I felt like wasn't right at the time. But I am actually going to kind of branch out and see what I can do as far as getting contacts, because I do notice, like with events, I don't wear my glasses for those either. So it is hard when I'm talking to people and meeting new people. I don't want to be squinting or, I want to be able to feel extremely comfortable. So getting contacts is definitely next on the list. And I'm actually going to be visiting Dr. Elise Briscoe, who actually got me in contact with Nanodropper. She is amazing. She was one of our sponsors for the Miss California United States pageants, and she's actually competing this next year. So yeah, it's something that is really neat to kind of be on the journey with her about. So I'm really excited.
That's so exciting. We love Dr. Briscoe. She's been wonderful. So that's so cool to hear that she's competing. She didn't tell us. So yeah, we would love to open it up for any questions from the attendees, or if there's just generally anything else that the panelists would like to share. We do have one more question in the chat. This can go for either the beauty experts or the eye care professionals. Any tips for dark circles under the eyes? How can you avoid them? And if you do have them, how can you make them better or mitigate their appearance? Yeah, go for it.
Oh gosh, that's a really hard one to answer because there's a lot of different causes of the darkness underneath our eyes. Sometimes it's just the amount they're deep set, so there's a shadow, or it's the blood vessels, and you have thin skin there. So that's a really hard question to answer. Some eye creams that have caffeine in it can help vasoconstrict the blood vessels and help reduce the darkness there. Also, just generally hydrating the area can kind of plump it up. And then using a great concealer, that's what I do. Just find a great concealer that works well for you. And that's really probably the best bet. I don't think there's any way to get rid of your dark circles entirely.
That's actually something that I personally struggle with. I am a redhead, so I do have naturally more pale skin. So you can see like my veins and stuff, and I'll get really dark circles, especially during pageant time when I'm not sleeping the greatest. So I actually just started something the other day. It's from the Ordinary brand. It's a caffeine solution. So I'm hoping that will kind of make a difference. But yes, a great concealer is always the best. I personally use the Tarte Shape Tape or the e.l.f. Camo Concealer, I think it is. So those are really great options if you want like a quick fix to cover up your dark circles.
That's great. I've actually used the e.l.f. Camo Concealer, and it is wonderful. So love that you were able to throw that one out there. Are there any other questions from the audience, or I don't see any more in the chat right now. So I know that we're about a minute away from the end of the hour. If there's anything else that the panelists would like to add, that would be great. Otherwise, we can just kind of wrap it up.
Can I just add one more piece of advice really quick? So kind of along the same lines with the dark circles, I always get questions about getting the red out and what's the best tip to get red out of the eyes. And so Lumify is a over-the-counter product that's really great. And I always tell my patients to avoid the Visine get the red out drop, because the way it works is it vasoconstricts the vessels on the ocular surface, leading to less oxygen flow to the eye, which actually in turn makes the eyes more dry. And the way it works is because of how it works, you actually get this rebound redness with increased redness when you stop the Visine get the red out drop. So avoid that and get Lumify, which is over the counter. I have no financial interest. It just works.
Yeah, and
I second that entirely. I second all of that. Lumify is the best. Forget the Visine, forget the clear eyes. Definitely.
And we did get a question in the chat. If you can use Nanodropper with Lumify, because I know that those are some of maybe the pricier over-the-counter drops, and you can use Nanodropper with Lumify if you want to reduce the amount of solution going into your eye and make those bottles last a little bit longer. So Allisa, want to wrap it up? Thank you so much.
Yeah, I mean, the hour just flew by, but I just wanted to take a second to thank everyone in the audience for tuning into our first ever live event. And if you have any more questions about eye health in the beauty industry, please connect with us at Nanodropper or any of our guests through social media. or you can also email us at info@nanodropper.com. And I want to say a special thank you to each and every one of our panelists for taking their time on a Saturday to join us and share your unique insights and making this event really possible. And lastly, in honor of April being Women's Eye Health and Safety Month, please consider making a donation to the organization Prevent Blindness. And you can do this at preventblindness.org/nanodropper. Our mission at Nanodropper is to increase access to vision-saving medications and resources for patients worldwide, and a donation to Prevent Blindness would go a long way to accomplishing that goal. So with that, thank you everyone for joining today, and have a great weekend.